Traditional history often frames the Indian subcontinent as a vertical ladder. It is a story of rigid castes, separate bloodlines, and a sequence of conquerors arriving to dominate those below them. The Genome India project is bypassing these historical ledgers to look at a different record. Researchers are using sequencing machines to read the biological code of 10,000 individuals across 99 distinct communities. In a laboratory in West Bengal, a scientist renders the genome of a 63-year-old woman from an Odisha fishing village. Her family has lived in the same district for at least 7 generations. Beyond that, her ancestry dissolves into oral legend. But her DNA holds a much deeper memory. The data shows that her genetic sequence aligns with individuals from groups traditionally considered entirely separate, including Kashmiri Brahmins and software engineers in Bengaluru. This shared link is mitochondrial haplogroup M. It is a genetic thread passed unchanged from mother to daughter across thousands of generations. Today, this maternal matrix is present in 60% of all Indian women. The sequencing data reveals a consistent biological architecture beneath the surface of modern society. Every community tested, regardless of its current status or location, is built upon these same foundational ancestral pillars. This shared lineage traces back 65,000 years to a beach on the Horn of Africa. At a narrow strait called the Bab el Mandeb, a small group of humans crossed out of Africa and began moving along a lost coastline. These were the Ancient Ancestral South Indians, or AASI. They were the first to bring haplogroup M into the subcontinent, moving a few miles each generation as they followed the harvest of the tides. They were masters of adaptation. When the Mount Toba supereruption plunged the Earth into a volcanic winter, the AASI survived the ashfall. Archaeological sites show them continuing to refine their stone tools, even as the environment turned hostile. During the height of the Ice Age, they retreated into sandstone ravines, like those at Bhimbetka. Their rock art from this period shows a deep focus on the animals that sustained them, from wild boar to swamp deer. Tens of thousands of years of environmental pressure forged the AASI into the unshakable biological bedrock of the subcontinent. They remained the primary inhabitants of the land until the climate shifted once again. Around 6200 BCE, a sudden collapse of glacial lakes in North America disrupted global currents, triggering a multi-century drought across the Iranian plateau. As the springs failed, Zagrosian goat herders began moving eastward in search of water. They traveled through the Bolan Pass and descended onto the Kachi Plain of modern-day Balochistan. At a site called Mergar, these farmers encountered the AASI. They found a landscape that was already home to established hunter-gatherer bands who had navigated these river valleys for millennia. The genetic data from this period shows a genuine merger of these two groups. We see the biological signatures of Zagrosian men and AASI women sharing the same households, combining their distinct histories into a new, hybrid population. At the family hearth, the AASI mothers pass down their knowledge of local flora and their unique phonetic sounds, while the Zagrosian fathers introduced sedentary agriculture and mud brick technology. This synthesis provided the foundation for a new kind of society, built on a biological merger rather than the displacement of one group by another. By 2600 BCE, this merger reached its peak in the Indus Valley civilization. The combination of agricultural surplus and deep time resilience allowed for a massive expansion of human ingenuity. In Egypt and Mesopotamia, civilizations were defined by the vertical ego of a king. Power was expressed through the construction of towering pyramids or palaces designed to separate the ruler from the ruled. The Harappan cities show a different logic. The highest point in Mohenjo-Daro was not a palace, but a civic center. They prioritized collective infrastructure, building standardized housing and complex drainage systems that served the entire community. This reliance on collective agreement is etched into the very bricks. Across 1.5 million square kilometers, every baked brick followed a precise 4:2:1 ratio. This level of mathematical uniformity across such a vast territory required a massive degree of shared social trust. This era of urban planning was a material expression of the AASI-Zagrosian merger, a civilization that functioned through standardization and shared civic order. The ancient synthesis that built those cities remains present in the daily lives of people living today. It is a living legacy that survived long after the cities themselves were abandoned. We hear it in the hard, tongue-curled retroflex consonants of modern languages like Tamil and Hindi. These unique sounds are a phonetic inheritance from the AASI mothers, passed down through the generations even as the vocabulary around them changed. We also see it in the use of color. 15,000 years ago, AASI burial rituals used red hematite ochre to represent the sun and the color of blood. This ancient ritual directly parallels the modern tradition of applying red sindoor or kumkum. The symbolism and names have evolved over millennia, but the ritual use of the color has remained constant. Back in the laboratory in Kalyani, the genome of the 63-year-old woman from Odisha tells the final part of this story. Her DNA contains a 65,000-year record of survival. It shows that beneath the social walls of the present, the 1.4 billion people of the subcontinent share the same biological bedrock,